It's just a question now of, has Conor Benn used not fighting since last February to gradually build himself up towards 160 so he can have a good crack at this on Saturday night? Or is he just banking on the fact that he's younger, fitter, stronger, and he thinks that's going to be enough to get rid of Eubank Jr.? Because for me, if he has built towards this in the right way, I give him a very good chance. I give him a better chance than I did back in 2022. For Eubank Jr., if he's fully locked in, if he's fully invested, if he still wants to be in and around boxing and he's not just doing this because of the nostalgia and the name quality like we've spoken about, he can make this a very easy night for himself. He'll need to ride the wave of the first 3 or 4 rounds, but Conor Benn, we know, is going to come out like a ball in a china shop. If Eubank can overcome that tide, he should be able to get on his boxing and then build into the fight as it goes. But yeah, we're going to slag it off. We're going to say it's a circus, but there is intrigue and excitement there. And come 10 o'clock our time over here in the UK, we'll be on the edge of our settees waiting for the ring walks and to hear Michael Buffer do his thing. For a prediction, I've predicted Conor Benn to stop Eubank in round 7, and it is to do with that he's a younger fighter. I think we've seen fragilities now in Eubank. Look, Liam Smith, yes, he was good in the rematch, but that was a vastly injured Liam Smith that took the fight because he couldn't afford to pull out of a rematch twice after delaying it once. He was poor against Serra-Meta. I said yesterday that he beat Serra-Meta based off of Serra-Meta deciding he didn't want anymore and decided to tell his corner to pull him out.
I thought Eubank looked poor against Serra-Meta, and a lot of people were telling me how good he looked. I thought he looked poor.
Look,
I thought he looked good.
Distance.
I thought he looked good against Serra-Meta.
For me, that Serra-Meta fight was going 12 rounds in the same vein as the first 6 had gone if Serra-Meta didn't decide to pull out on his stall. So for me, I know I'll be in the minority. I know he's the underdog and the villain of the piece, but Conor Benn, round 7 stoppage.
Cool. Good evening to Humble Ab Crummel. Thanks for being with us. JFT?
Yeah, I don't rate Conor Benn. I never have. I believe that Chris Eubank Jr. is a better boxer, has better fundamentals. I know they both mirrored the fathers when they both turned over, but Conor Benn is still in that same vein, fights like his dad. The problem for him is he was brought up in leafy suburbs of Surrey, not the mean streets of Croydon like his dad. He's not his dad. And all this, I'm going to iron him out. And all, it's bollocks. It's a character. If you watch The Lie Detector, his accent slips halfway through it and he starts talking normal. Bit like Chris Eubank Sr. He's from the streets, but plays a character, the monocle, the joppers. Look, I remember the dads fighting. This ain't it, right? It's as close as we're going to get. Personally, I think Harlem Eubank should have got the fight as a more even matchup. But they are both polarising characters because of their dads. Back to my initial statement, Chris Eubank Jr. can actually box. His boxing style's not that bad. His fundamentals are significantly better than Conor Benn. As Liam said, Conor Benn's got a chance early for me. First 4 or 5 rounds when he's got his cardio and he's throwing shots. We have all seen, I'm not saying it could be coincidence, but ever since he popped or didn't pop or proved his innocence or whatever, right? He's stopped knocking guys dead. Exactly. He's got a dossier to prove it, but don't want to talk about it. He's not knocking people dead. But the people that he were knocking dead were all of a certain level, bar Algerian Van Heerden. But they were both way past their prime. Way past their prime. And they were brought over here. They were brought up, exactly. Right? I don't think he's stopped anyone since. I just believe that Chris Eubank Jr. is going to stay in his shell for 2 or 3 rounds and then put it on Conor Benn. I'm going the opposite to Liam. I'm going for the 7th round Eubank Jr. stoppage.
7th round for JFT. We've got Brendan join us in Philly. Brendan, hope you're well, my friend. Thanks for being with us.
What's DJ up, Philly? Pat. Congrats on the Eagles.
Yes, love that. DJ Pat back in the chat. Eubank KO late stoppage here. Chilltown, where we at?
Look, first, let me say, the Serra-Meta fight. I thought Eubank looked better in the Serra-Meta fight than Ben looked in the Dobson fight. He dropped Serra-Meta 3 times. That was awful. He dropped Serra-Meta 3 times, and the 4th time he dropped them, they just stopped it. But, going off this, like you guys said it, and I'll say I have no nostalgia to these 2 fighters. I've been following them and taping them both because I like them as fighters. So I look at it as if this was, say, Connor Smith and Chris Jones instead of who they are now, right? I've been just watching them, taping them. I would say this fight, dare I say, it would be a mismatch.
Yep.
Could I say that? Because you have
I think
a
it
simple
is.
question for the chat is Chris Eubank a better middleweight than Conor Benn is a welterweight? Just in the respect of that, I would say, yeah. But, stylistically, then going into this, because I know both these fighters pretty well, Conor Benn, he can only fight one way, and that's going forward on the front foot. He is fucked on the back foot. He cannot fight on the back foot, and he cannot control center ring. He cannot slip and control shots center ring. He cannot keep his feet planted. He has to have you on the back foot. And the brilliant people at Matchroom, the matchmaking has been strategic. They have been putting everybody in that has almost been either retired or coming off knockout losses. Yeah. So the two people, I don't care about the test. I think regardless of the test, the two people that he fought recently that haven't been knocked down, they were somewhat in their prime and they could take a punch. So I thought Pete Dobson and Rodolfo Rizalco, they're both welterweights. I mean, and he fought him up at 154. Yeah, he didn't stop them. I thought he looked pretty much what he was. And the thing with Chris Eubank, I think he is world class. I think he's a top 10 middleweight. I think he can fight on the back foot. I think he can fight center ring. And I think if he pushes you back like he did with Liam Smith, I think he's very, very dangerous. He has very good punch output. He's very smart. He's got a good ring IQ. And can I say this? I think this is by far going to be the hardest puncher that Conor Benn has ever been in with. So everyone wants to talk about careful of Conor Benn 1 through 3. Careful of Conor Benn 1 through 6. What do you think when he hits a jab from Eubank? Conor Benn fights with his hands down. What do you think happens when he hits a right hand or when he eats an uppercut? Dobson was hitting him with uppercuts. Dobson's a welterweight. Eubank is somebody that has legitimate power at 160, has fought at 168. Like, if we were to take the names aside and just break these fighters down, we would say this is a mismatch. You have a welterweight that has only fought a couple times over 147 against welterweights. He has not fought a legitimate light middleweight. And now he's going to step in with a world-class middleweight that can punch. His jab probably feels like a welterweight right hand. Eubank has a phenomenal jab. So I think, Conor Benn's going to come on very aggressive. He's going to be dangerous. Any fighter's dangerous. We saw that with Jaime Munguia against the French guy that couldn't hit. Any fighter's dangerous. But, I think once Conor Benn gets touched up and he feels legitimate power, he's not going to come in as reckless, and he's never been hit like this before. I think Eubank, once he has him on the back foot, he's done. Conor Benn is a dead man walking once he's on the back foot. So I'm going with Jay. I could see mid stoppage here. Mid stoppage.
Yeah, I feel where you're both coming from. Pat said Bellew and Shalom going at it. I don't think they like each other anyway. Yeah, I'm with you two guys. Look, Conor Benn started his career at 140 pounds. I watched the Grand Arrival thing yesterday. He looks tiny compared to Chris Eubank Jr. I know Eddie's on the cell of a century. He gets to eat meals this week, and Eubank's like a skeleton walking around having to make weight. But as you say, Chris Eubank Jr., one thing that's not being mentioned about Eubank Jr., and the narrative is, and I agree with you, Conor's only chance for me is if he lands a magical punch in the first 3 rounds. But what people need to remember is Chris Eubank Jr. has an unbelievable chin. His chin was he was hurt and stopped against Liam Smith, okay, but Chris Eubank Jr. has got a very, very good chin. And he's probably inherited that from his father.
And he made 157. No drama last time.
He
made
did.
157. No, he did, but he made it. No drama. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's natural at 160. As Chilltown said, he's a world-class middleweight, man.
He's been fighting at 160 his last few fights. I think the talk about the weight, it's on 160. He's been fighting. He made 159 for Sarameda. He makes 160.
And it's not an issue. It's not an issue.
Yeah, I think you make a good point as well when you said it'll be the hardest puncher that Ben's ever faced. I can't actually think. Van Heerden, not a big puncher. Chris Algieri, not a big puncher. Who did he face before that? Granada.
Sam. Chris Algieri, the fight before, was fighting Tommy Coyle at 140.
I know.
He pulled him up. He pulled him up to 147 to fight Conor. So he's not even a real and Chris Algieri had never fought again. He was doing commentating.
Correct.
Correct. The sneaky matchmaking to make him look more than what he is, respectfully. But he's still obviously a great fighter.
Yeah.
But I mean,
this is a big. This
big step.
I'm not saying it is, but this could potentially be a bit of a cash out job going on here. and I'm not categorically saying it is, but like the more points that I listen to from you guys and stuff like that, it's like I would go as far to say I think it'll be a monumental upset if Conor Benn beats Chris Eubank Jr.
Oh yeah.
I think everything here, like, and that's why Eubank looks so chilled. I honestly believe that Chris Eubank Jr. anytime he wants on Saturday night, I do. I'm going to go with where you guys are at in my prediction video that I put out earlier on in the week. I said round 7 or 8 for Chris Eubank Jr. But I honestly feel like I'm being kind to Ben at that point as well. And like you boys say, Conor Benn is a front foot fighter. He wants it his own way. The second Chris Eubank Jr. gets Conor Benn on the retreat, it's done. The fight is done. And we'll see it. It'll probably be in round 2 or round 3, I would say. Conor's going to come out, like you said, Jay, bull in a china shop. He's going to come out trying to wing punches. And if he lands the $1 million shot, then he does. And, we're waxing lyrical and we get the rematch. But
you get clip fighting emotional. Yeah,
100%. I mean, listen,
more chance of
Eubank's a great
knocking him out than Ben.
He wants
you
to be
emotional. I don't agree with the narrative at all that Conor Benn could chin him in 2 rounds. I don't agree with that narrative.
No, I don't believe that can happen. I mean, I know he got stopped by Beefy, but it was one he didn't see come in and he was all flustered. George Groves cracked him with some right hands. George Groves is a heavy-handed super middleweight.
Well, that was 168.
So Liam Williams. The Liam Williams fight. Eubank was dropping Liam Williams with jabs.
And he didn't even, every time he's been smacked on the chin, he's never took a backward step. Whereas, like Chilltown said, as soon as Conor feels that power, he'll go into his shell. And as Chilltown said, Conor Benn's useless on the back foot. So it's not as though he can change tactic and start jabbing and moving. He hasn't got that in his armoury. So his best form of winning this fight is to press on. But that's playing into Eubank's hands. Eubank will take a step back, move to the side and probably catch him underneath coming in. He'll walk onto something.
He will walk onto shots. There's no doubt about that. And agree with Chilton. He ain't taking them. Hiya, Dan. Hope you're well, mate.
Yes, Dan.
Going for Eubank. Yeah, that was against Cedric Payne. Now, Ryan, is the French guy where he rematched him, didn't he? But this was down. Was this down at 140 when he was getting dropped and all that?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not sold on it, boys. I'm really not. That's Turkey's on the wind-up, jams and knees, loving it. Boys, I honestly would, and this is going to be clipped or whatever, I think it would be a monumental upset if Conor Benn wins on Saturday night. I agree. Any further comments, Your Honours?
I'm done.
Thanks.
Done out here.
Right, Liam's going for the monumental upset. He's got Conor Benn pulling it off.
Yeah.
3 of the rest of us are pretty unanimous, and we think it'll be a mid-ish round stoppage for Chris Eubank Jr.
As long as the rehydration clause, I know there is a 10-pound rehydration clause. Eubank did say he comes in at 174 typically, so he's going to have to cut around 4 pounds. But I mean, you hire the right nutrition, and it's the morning of. So
it's early in the in the morning.
It's the morning. So there's the devil in the details there.
I think the 157, the last time it was meant to happen initially, then that could have been a lot more of an issue. I think Eubank looked a bit ill on the scales, but look, 160, I think he'll be okay. Look, he might get dropped down. It's possible, especially early in the fight. Conor's fast and stuff, but I personally, I just can't see it. I honestly can't. But look, I've been wrong many a time before. I'll continue to be wrong many a time again. I'll no doubt be being hit up on Saturday night if Conor Benn chins Chris Eubank Jr. in 2 rounds. So.
Hope not.
I look forward to seeing it. But thank you very much, guys. Thanks to the guys in the chat. Some good lively debate as always. Dan, Jams, Ryan, DJ, Pat, and Brendan. Thanks for that, guys. Jay, Liam, and Chilton, thanks for joining us as a special guest.
Thanks for having me, man.
Been a pleasure as always, and we'll maybe try and get you on for a bit of Ryan Garcia and Tio and all those fights next week.
Oh yeah, good card.
Yeah, man.
So there's stuff to go on there. But yeah, I think we'll unless you guys are doing straight talk tomorrow, I think that'll be the last we do of anything till fight night on Saturday. So we'll catch up with everybody then. But yeah, have a great evening, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.
See you.